Imagine spending months designing the perfect retail store. Like the lighting is flawless, the window displays are completely curated, and the shelves are just stocked with high-end products.
Right, you've invested a ton of capital before anyone even walks in.
Exactly. And you finally unlock that front door for opening day. You hear the little bell chime indicating a customer walked in, and you immediately put on a thick black blindfold.
Which is, I mean, an absolutely terrible business strategy.
A total disaster.
Yeah.
But welcome to Fix the Funnel with G.A. Fix. This is episode number 27, and today we're taking the blindfold off.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, we are jumping into Mastering Website Analytics, a guide to data-driven growth. We're going to unpack the tools, the metrics, and the actual mechanisms that turn raw traffic into revenue.
Because standing at a physical cash register blindfolded sounds completely absurd. But that is the reality for anyone running a beautiful website without analytics functioning in the background. You know, traffic is arriving, but you have zero visibility into what happens next. You can't see if visitors are, wandering aimlessly or getting frustrated by a locked display case.
Or if they're literally standing at the register trying to hand you money while you look the other way.
Exactly.
So we're going to dive into the architecture of these systems and break down the top tools and the exact steps for implementation. But before we get into the software stack, we have to establish the core objective here.
Yeah. The why behind it all.
Right, because when most people hear the word analytics, they just picture endless spreadsheets and raw data points. But looking at our sources, the foundational purpose of this data isn't just about counting heads, is it?
No, not at all. It's really about decoding digital body language. You're trying to bridge the gap between marketing spend and actual tangible business growth.
And that gap is traditionally where companies just bleed capital, right? I mean, what does this actually mean for the bottom line?
Well, think about it like this. You run a massive paid search campaign, you see a huge spike in traffic, and you celebrate. But, traffic alone does not cover payroll.
Yeah, you can't take page views to the bank.
Exactly. If you lack analytics, you cannot tie that specific ad spend to actual revenue. Running campaigns without tracking ROI is it's basically like pouring money into a bucket with a hole in it.
Wow, a bucket with a hole. That's a painful visual for any marketer.
It really is. Every marketing campaign you run drives traffic, sure, but analytics is the mechanism that tracks the user from that initial ad click through your sales funnel to the final conversion.
Right, so it allows you to calculate your true return on ad spend.
Exactly. You stop guessing why a campaign is underperforming, and you use the behavioral data to double down on what works and just cut what doesn't.
So to use our store analogy, traditional top-level metrics are kind of like a simple store receipt. It tells you what was bought and when.
Yeah, a receipt is a good way to look at basic data.
But comprehensive website analytics acts more like the security footage. It shows you the customer picking up the item, reading the label, putting it back, looking confused, and then eventually leaving.
Right. It highlights the actual friction points in the user experience. It reveals the why behind the what.
Okay, so give me an example of that in practice.
Well, say a user loads up a shopping cart and abandons it halfway through checkout. You need to know that. Perhaps your shipping costs are hidden until the very last step, causing massive sticker shock.
Oh, I hate when sites do that. I bounce immediately.
Everyone does. Or maybe they're leaving the second they land on your homepage because the mobile formatting is just completely broken. Analytics tells you that. And it applies heavily to content strategy, too.
Like blog posts and articles.
Yeah, by analyzing which articles actually keep users engaged and eventually drive them to a purchase, you know exactly what type of content to produce next.
Okay, so knowing we need this data is one thing, but actually opening an analytics dashboard often feels like staring at the matrix.
It can be super overwhelming at first.
Right, so to decode the user journey, we have to look past the surface-level numbers and really understand the foundational metrics. Let's start with the absolute basics.
Okay, let's do it.
Tracking something as simple as users has gotten incredibly complex because, people bounce between their phone on the train, their tablet on the couch, and their desktop at work.
Oh, constantly. It's never just one device anymore.
So how do these platforms actually synthesize all of that into an accurate user count? Because otherwise, one person looks like three different people.
Right, and that is where modern analytics really separates itself from legacy tools. Platforms now use sophisticated data modeling and multiple identity spaces.
What's an identity space?
Things like device IDs, user logins, and cross-site signals. The platform uses those to basically stitch together a single user journey across multiple devices.
Okay, so instead of counting one person as three different visitors, The system recognizes the pattern and logs it accurately as one user.
Exactly. And that ties directly into monitoring your overall website traffic, which gives you that macro view. But the critical layer there is breaking that traffic down by source.
Meaning segmenting the traffic to see if they came organically through a search engine or if it was like direct traffic where they actually typed in the URL.
Right, or referral traffic from social media and paid campaigns. Once you isolate those sources, you can evaluate where that specific traffic lands.
Which brings us to top landing pages. And looking at the sources, evaluating landing pages is kind of like evaluating the front door of your business, right? It sets the entire tone.
It absolutely does. If you are paying for search ads that point to a landing page with a really high bounce rate, you are effectively paying to frustrate potential customers.
That is a terrible use of a marketing budget.
Yeah, you're just paying for them to leave.
But okay, the landing page is the entrance. I feel like the other end of the funnel is often way more revealing.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets really interesting. How do we know exactly where we've lost them?
That brings up two metrics that frequently get conflated, and you have to know the difference: exit pages and exit rate.
Right. People mix these up all the time.
Constantly. So exit pages simply refers to the actual last page a person viewed before they left your site.
Which counterintuitively isn't always a bad thing, is it?
Not at all.
Like, if the exit page is a thank you for your order screen
Mm-hmm.
or a really specific support article that answers a technical question perfectly, a high exit volume there means they accomplished their goal.
That is a perfect example. They got what they needed and left satisfied. However, exit rate is a percentage.
Okay, how is that different?
It measures how often a specific page was the final page viewed by users who visited that specific page. So if you see an 85% exit rate on a support article, you've likely solved their problem.
Right, they read it and left.
But if you see an 85% exit rate on the shipping information page right in the middle of your checkout process, that is a 5-alarm fire.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That identifies massive friction. It tells you people are actively trying to buy, they're hitting a wall, and they're bailing out.
Exactly. You spot that, and then you can investigate that specific page. Like, is the form too complex? Is a script failing to load?
Which actually transitions perfectly into the engagement metrics. We look at average session duration and pages per session to gauge how deep they're exploring.
Right. But you have to remember that the underlying technical context can render those engagement metrics totally moot if the infrastructure is flawed.
Meaning, if the site is broken, it doesn't matter how good the content is.
Precisely. Technical performance dictates user behavior. This is where metrics like site speed and what are known as core web vitals come into play.
Core Web Vitals. That's a Google thing, right?
Yeah, these are technical pillars measuring how fast the main content loads, how quickly the site reacts when a user clicks a button, and visual stability.
Visual stability, meaning like, does the page jump around while it's loading? Because I hate when I try to click a link and the whole page shifts down an inch.
Yes. That's exactly it. And if your page takes more than a few seconds to load or jumps around like that, the user will abandon it before reading a single word.
And you also have to cross-reference that with device and browser information, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, if the data shows 80% of your audience is accessing the site via a mobile device, but your layout is heavily optimized for a huge widescreen desktop monitor, you are actively degrading the experience.
You're alienating the vast majority of your users. The same logic applies to geographic data, which informs everything from localization and language options to regional ad targeting.
But, and this is key from our sources, all of these metrics like traffic sources, site speed, geographic distribution, they're ultimately just contextual layers, right?
Contextual layers supporting the absolute pinnacle metric, which is the conversion rate.
The conversion rate is the ultimate success indicator. It tracks the percentage of users who take the exact action you designed the site for.
Whether that is purchasing a product, filling out a lead generation form, or subscribing to a service. Everything else is basically just a diagnostic tool to help you push that conversion rate higher.
Okay, so knowing the metrics is only half the battle. To actually track things like exit rate or conversion rate, you need the right software.
Yes, you need the actual tools.
Looking at the landscape, there really isn't a one-size-fits-all tool, is there? You have to build a tool stack.
Yeah, tailored to the specific questions you were trying to answer. But the cornerstone for most organizations is Google Analytics 4, commonly referred to as GA4.
Right, which completely replaced the older universal analytics system a while back. And it brought a pretty massive paradigm shift in how data is collected, didn't it?
A huge shift. Universal Analytics was entirely obsessed with page views. Geo4 is entirely event-based.
Let's break down how that mechanism actually works, because shifting from page views to events, it kind of changes the entire philosophy of tracking.
It does. In the old model, the primary way to know a user was interacting with your site was if they loaded a brand new page.
Right.
But the modern web just doesn't work like that anymore. Today, users might stay on a single dynamic page. They might click play on a video, scroll through an image carousel, download a PDF, all without ever loading a new page.
And the old system would just see them sitting there doing nothing.
Exactly. It would look like they were idle.
Hmm.
GA4 treats every single one of those interactions as a distinct event.
Oh, that's incredibly powerful. So it captures the exact button click or the depth of the scroll?
Yes, and it packages that with data attributes like the color of the button clicked or the exact value of the item they put in the cart.
So it provides this three-dimensional view of user interaction. And our sources mention it's heavily supported by built-in machine learning too, right?
Yeah, to model missing data when users opt out of cookies, which is increasingly common.
Okay, but wait. If GA4 is giving me this granular, event-level behavioral data and showing me exactly where traffic is coming from, why do our sources insist on pairing it with Google Search Console?
It's a great question.
It just feels somewhat redundant. I mean, isn't traffic just traffic?
It comes down to pre-click versus post-click data. GA4 is a post-click tool. It tells you what users do after they arrive on your site.
Okay.
Google Search Console is a pre-click tool. It focuses strictly on your website's performance within the Google search engine itself before they ever click your link.
Oh, I see. So it reveals the exact search queries people typed in to find you.
Exactly. It shows your ranking position for those keywords, your click-through rates, and it also monitors for severe indexing errors.
Meaning what? Like the site is down.
Meaning it alerts you if Google's bots literally cannot read or display your website in the search results. If you are doing any SEO, Search Console is mandatory because GA4 simply cannot see what happens before the user lands on your domain.
That makes perfect sense. So between GA4 and Search Console, you have a really comprehensive map of the numbers.
A very solid foundation, yes.
But numerical data can only take you so far. Like GA4 tells me what happened, but what if I want to see how it happened?
You mean visualizing the experience?
Yeah, almost like watching a replay of a confused customer. If I see a spike in abandoned carts, a spreadsheet doesn't tell me why they got confused.
And this is where we look to behavioral analytics tools to act as that security camera footage we talked about earlier. Hotjar and Microsoft Clarity are two exceptional tools for this.
And they don't replace GA4, right?
No, they augment it. Hotjar provides visual heat maps, aggregating data to show you exactly where the majority of users are moving their mouse, how far down the page they scroll before leaving, and, which buttons receive the most attention.
And the session recordings. Which I just find fascinating, though it's probably important to clarify for privacy reasons that it is not literally recording a video of the user's screen.
Right, that would be a huge privacy violation. It is reconstructing the code of the page, the document object model, and then overlaying the mouse movements and clicks.
It anonymizes keystrokes, right? So you never see passwords or personal data.
Exactly. You never see sensitive info, but it allows you to literally watch the digital body language of the session. Microsoft Clarity, which is actually a free tool, operates similarly and integrates seamlessly with Google Analytics.
And Clarity has that specific feature for detecting usability nightmares, right? The dead clicks and rage clicks.
Yeah, the rage clicks.
A rage click is just a brilliantly descriptive metric. Like you design a beautiful graphic that looks like a call to action button, but it's really just a static image.
We've all been there.
Right. And the user taps it furiously on their phone, expecting a response, and nothing happens. That's a rage click.
And when you open your heat map and see a cluster of rage clicks on an element that isn't clickable, you have instantly identified a severe design flaw that is actively infuriating your potential customers.
And you can pass that directly to your development team to fix. It's so actionable.
Highly actionable. Now, those behavioral tools are great for UX design, but our sources also highlight advanced product analytics platforms for complex software ecosystem.
Yeah, they specifically mention Mixpanel and Adobe Analytics.
Right. So Mixpanel is engineered for software as a service, or SaaS, companies and complex mobile apps. If you build a sophisticated app, you don't just want to know if someone logged in.
Right. You need to know which specific features they use daily and which ones they ignore entirely.
Exactly. Mixpanel excels at complex cohort analysis, allowing you to group users by behavior and track their retention over months or even years.
And Adobe Analytics.
Adobe Analytics is the premium titan of the industry. It is designed for massive global enterprises like major banks or international retail conglomerates.
Companies that require real-time processing of colossal data sets, right?
Yeah, across highly complex multi-brand digital ecosystems. It's incredibly powerful, but overkill for most.
Right. For the vast majority of organizations, a stack combining GA4, Search Console, and a behavioral tool like Clarity provides immense power.
More than enough to scale.
Which brings us to the actual implementation.
Mhm.
You've picked your tool, say GA4, but the technical setup is often where people just freeze up.
It can be intimidating.
Looking at the 6-step setup process in our sources, it starts simply enough. Step 1 is choosing the tool. Step 2 is creating an account. Like for Google Analytics, you navigate to analytics.google.com, sign in, and create a property.
Just by inputting your website URL, super easy.
But step 3 introduces the tracking code. And the instruction is usually to copy a snippet of JavaScript and paste it into the head section of every single page on your website.
Which sounds scary.
Hold on, pasting JavaScript into the head section of every page sounds terrifying for a non-developer.
Is there an easier way so we don't break our websites?
Right.
Because one misplaced comma can crash the whole thing.
It really can. But don't worry, hard coding scripts manually is largely a thing of the past for most modern businesses.
Okay, good.
If you are operating on a content management system like WordPress, Wix, Shopify, or Squarespace, you do not need to touch the raw code base.
So what do you do instead? These platforms have dedicated, simple plugins or native integrations. You simply paste your unique tracking ID string into a user-friendly settings menu, and the platform securely injects the code for you.
Okay, that significantly lowers the barrier to entry. But what if you are running multiple tools?
Like a full stack.
Yeah, you have the GA4 tag, a Facebook pixel for ads, a Hotjar script, maybe a LinkedIn Insight tag. Injecting all of those separately can bloat the site and really slow down performance.
That is precisely why industry professionals use Google Tag Manager or GTM.
How does that work?
Tag Manager acts like a shipping container, or think of it like a universal remote control for your website's tracking scripts. You install the single Tag Manager code onto your website just once.
There's just one script.
Just one, and from that point on, you never touch your website's back-end code again. You log into the separate Tag Manager dashboard, and you deploy all your other tags, GA4, advertising pixels, behavioral scripts from inside that container.
Well, that's brilliant. It keeps your code clean and improves site speed.
And it gives marketing teams the agility to deploy tracking without waiting for an engineering team to do it.
So once the code or the Tag Manager container is live, step 4 is verification. You don't just assume it works.
Never assume it works.
You open your website in a new tab, navigate around, and check the real-time reporting section in your analytics dashboard to confirm it is actively logging your active users.
Verifying data flow is critical, which leads directly to step 5, and this is huge, setting up goals or conversions.
Right, because out of the box, analytics tools track traffic, but they don't automatically know what constitutes a success for your specific business.
Exactly. You have to actively configure the software to recognize when a specific event, like submitting a lead form or completing a purchase, occurs.
If you fail to configure conversions, you're essentially collecting a mountain of traffic data without any directional compass. It's the true foundation of data-driven growth.
Completely useless without goals.
Which makes step 6 the final piece of the puzzle, integration. Because analytics doesn't exist in a vacuum.
Right, you have to connect it. You connect GA4 to Google's Search Console to import that pre-click SEO data we talked about.
And you link it to your Google Ads account to pass conversion data back to the advertising algorithm.
And crucially, you connect it to your CRM, your customer relationship management platform, like Salesforce or HubSpot.
So you can track the entire life cycle from an anonymous website click to a closed enterprise contract months later.
It establishes a closed-loop data architecture. Everything communicates, ensuring your marketing, sales, and product teams are all operating from a single source of truth.
And building that architecture correctly the first time is just vital. Actually, our sources note that if you are looking for an expert to ensure this infrastructure is flawless, you can connect with the team at GAA.fix.ai.
Oh yeah, they do great work.
Yeah, they specialize in setting up, optimizing, and auditing GA4, Search Console, and Google Tag Manager environments.
Which is so important because Operating on corrupt or improperly filtered data is actually way more dangerous than having no data at all.
Really? How so?
Because bad data gives you a false sense of security. It leads you to allocate budgets and make huge strategic decisions based on entirely inaccurate premises. A professional audit just ensures the integrity of your metrics.
Makes total sense. So this entire deep dive really reinforces that website analytics is far more than a technical requirement. It is a fundamental shift in business operations.
It really is a mindset shift.
It moves an organization away from operating on gut feelings and guesswork and into a framework of pure precision. We explored how it connects user experience directly to financial ROI.
We broke down the mechanics of event-based tracking and the importance of cross-device identity modeling.
We surveyed the tool stack, from GA4 and Search Console to behavioral platforms like Hotjar.
Yeah.
And we mapped out the implementation, highlighting how tools like Google Tag Manager act as the central hub for deployment.
The overarching takeaway here is empowerment. Whether you're a small business owner wearing every hat, a specialized marketer, or a product manager, mastering these data streams empowers you to make smart decisions that actively scale business growth.
It transforms your digital presence from a static brochure into a highly optimized machine.
Absolutely.
But as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought regarding where this technology is heading. We discussed how modern platforms use machine learning to model missing data.
Yeah, to fill in the gaps.
But these tools are rapidly evolving from historical reporting telling you what already happened into predictive analytics.
It's getting wild.
It really is. Algorithms are now mapping human habits so accurately that they can anticipate exactly what a user will do next before the user even makes a conscious decision.
Like predicting churn before it happens.
Exactly. So as we rely more heavily on systems that adapt the user interface in real time based on predictive behavioral models, the game changes entirely. At what point does perfectly optimized UX cross the line from being genuinely helpful to being manipulative?
That's the million-dollar question.
Where's the line between guiding a user and controlling them? It is a fascinating shift in how we build digital experiences, and something to mull over as you build your stack.
Definitely something to keep in mind.
Well, thank you for tuning in to this deep dive. Take that blindfold off, implement your tracking architecture, and let the data guide your next move. Catch you next time.